Hi everyone, it's been a while. It's me, Ezigo, and before I say anything else, I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody who's cared enough to continue watching the channel, continue watching these videos, being a part of my life as I continue my content creation journey, but also enjoying all the content I choose to make, whether it's chess, life updates, reactions, you name it. Right now, this video is going to be centered around my trip to Chicago that I just was on, and I want to go ahead and actually do like a bit of a rundown, what's been going through my mind, as well as how my whole experience was. So to everyone watching, I hope you stick around until the end, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already so that you could help me on this journey to making sure that I can be self-sufficient from creating content so I don't have to wait 2 weeks to do it, you know? But with that in mind, a lot of the reason why I haven't uploaded before I get into like my whole Chicago trip and everything has been just the sheer fact that I've been exhausted. I just started working a new job. I have all these responsibilities on the side. Content creation is still something I want to put on the forefront of my life, but it's been hard to manage, juggle, and especially with the kinds of videos I've been making with chess. Feeling like, do I have enough time to practice? Do I have enough time to put out, I guess, these bangers of me winning games or not winning games, whatever it matters. And there wasn't time to make it happen in the past couple weeks, especially with the fact that I was just gone away from my setup. So I am back, and I'm going to go ahead and say that this trip was such a needed mental break. And if you know me as a person, which you all probably don't, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you in on a little bit about my life. I have a deep passion for traveling, and when I travel, it makes me feel like I'm alive. It's one of those things that just, you know, really does connect with my personal like soul. And it's something that I'm going to continue doing until I don't even know, until I can't anymore, you know? I might be on a trip to Mars one day. That being said, someone who's been to like 15 different countries, too many cities for me to count at this point, I told myself I needed to start going to more US cities because most of the trips I've done have been international. And the perfect chance actually arose when my sister hit me up and let me know, hey, I'm gonna be going to Chicago. I already asked one of my friends and one of our friends, and she said that she would be down to go too. And it's whether or not I want to join. And, you know, within the span of one day, I was in. You didn't even have to ask me twice. So naturally, a few weeks passed and we were on our way to Chicago. First thing I want to talk about on this trip, and it's not going to be like some long breakdown of everything I did for a week's time. That'd be too much and you all wouldn't want to stick around for that. So trust me, I'm going to spare you all of the details. But on the flight there, we booked our flights separately. And even though we were on the same flight, I wasn't sitting next to my sister, and our friend was flying in the next day. So I'm thinking I'm going to be sitting by myself. I'm slightly hungover and I'm tired. I didn't sleep much the night before, and I was just ready to get some Z's on this trip when I ran into the most amazing 8-year-old lady who started talking to me. And honestly, I was just like, you did this to yourself. Enjoy this conversation, meeting somebody new. And we talked for the next 2.5 hours. I kid you not, by the end of it, I was so happy that I actually had a conversation with this lady, because we talked about life, grief, passion, faith, all these different things. And it was just cool to be able to see like life from her perspective. And it almost made me sad too, because by the end of it, she was talking about how she felt like she was so thankful to have had me sitting next to her, because people don't like to speak to old people. So it made her day, and she was so grateful for it. So honestly, shout out to you, Rita. I appreciate you, and I wanted to give you a shout out in this video. Besides that, Chicago as a city is so beautiful. Like, I can't stress enough how beautiful it is. I don't know, like, okay, every place that I've been to and every time that I've visited somewhere new, maybe when I first started traveling, I had these preconceived notions as to what would this place be like? Would it be like what I learned about? Would it be like what were in these books and these movies, etc.? Until I kind of got those expectations shattered quickly, realizing that nowhere is really how it's portrayed outside of like its actual space. And you have to just embrace something and learn about it for the first time when you're there sometimes. So my key takeaways I realized from Chicago is that it's clean, it's beautiful, it was so beautiful, it's big, it's spacious in ways that it's hard to describe. Like, I lived in New York, but New York doesn't have alleys. And outside of just the alleys that make it feel like Chicago is a lot bigger than it might actually be, its sidewalks are just pretty freaking big. And to be honest, getting around places, like, there's space in between these different, like, I would say zones, districts, whatever, neighborhoods. It's definitely a big place. And so that felt really nice to have a little bit more freedom even within a city, not feeling too constrained or like cooped up. And I almost forgot to mention the people. like the people are just different, and not in a super standouty kind of way or things like that. Sorry to my Chicago people if that wasn't the impression that I got from y'all. I'm sure there are those creative minds, whatever, etc. But I will say the thing that I did notice about y'all the most was the fact that you all are so polite for a big city. Like, I haven't really been to a big city where people were just that nice. I'm not saying people are mean. Like, people in New York aren't mean. People in Atlanta aren't mean at all. People in Chicago were just generally polite for everything. And it was nice to be able to like have that kind of a vibe coming from a city, you know? When I look back at this trip, keep in mind, I was still working during the week when I was traveling. So I had the weekends free. Well, the first weekend free, and then like my last day was free, but I was still working during most of the day on the week that I was here. So because of my job, obviously I didn't get to do every activity under the sea, but I still got to enjoy so many things that I think I otherwise wouldn't have. And I'm great. It's nice having a friend that lives in the city that can give you recommendations. So I want to go ahead and shout out Katie. I met her in Thailand actually, but she lives in Chicago. And so being able to reunite in Chicago and be able to see a face that I haven't in 6 months or so, and to be able to have recommendations and see Chicago kind of like through her lens, that was a really special experience, and I'm thankful for it, because otherwise I would not have started going to like the theater on the lake, which is just like, I guess, this establishment, sure, but it's the area next to it, and I'll try and figure out what the area is actually called, but it's right on Lake Michigan, and you're kind of like on this walkway on the edge of Lake Michigan, and you can see the whole city in the distance. The sunrises and the sunset are kind of just perfect from that location. And I not only did a sunrise there, but I also did a sunset, and was able to enjoy good times. The sunrise was by myself, but the sunset was with Katie and my sister. So being able to have people there for that sunset, even though I was so exhausted from the night before, I was so thankful to have that moment as well, and it was amazing. The different neighborhoods was also a different highlight for me. I'm the kind of person that I enjoy, honestly, just seeing how people live in cities. So I know there's always like the touristy like attractions you have to see, and don't get me wrong, I'll be a tourist and I'll go see different things for sure, but always want to make sure that I'm just exploring different cities. So one of the first neighborhoods I was in Chicago, when I was just touching down and being able to like go around it with my sister, was like, I guess, I don't think this is like the neighborhood per se, but we were in the downtown area, got to see Millennium Park, the Bean, and being like the really thick of it, touristy. And to finish it off, you know, I heard that this wasn't the best pizza place to try Chicago pizza, but I was like, if we're gonna do day one of the most touristy things possible, we're gonna do the most touristy pizza possible and just get our first taste of Chicago in that way. And so we went to Giordano's. It was actually pretty good, and it was so thick and baked in, and this was the first time I ate a pizza that I was like, I can see why people say a pizza is a pie. I'll just say it like that. Because otherwise, I don't know if I call a pizza a pie per se. No, Chicago pizza is a pie. And it was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the last deep dish I had, and it wasn't the best, but it was still good nonetheless. And then the follow-up at Lou Malnati's was fire. So I was thankful to be able to have those experiences. We did go to Wicker Park, as well as I explored Wicker Park, as well as River North, Lincoln Park, and I think like, I was on the south side for a little bit working in a library there, which was also a unique experience. Cafe Istanbul. Talking about the cities, it's hard to talk about the different neighborhoods. Talking about the neighborhoods, it's hard to actually mention them without getting into the food, which was another point of some of my favorite thing about Chicago, was that Chicago has such great food. I went to the Cafe Barbariba, but my favorite out of the cafes I went to, honestly, was Cafe Istanbul. And so this place is in Wicker Park, and it has just like, I guess, Turkish food, but it's not just the Turkish food that is high quality and done right, or whatever done right means. That was like a really big highlight of the spot. It was the people that are working there, because they really do embrace you with open arms. They gave us a free dessert at the end for whatever reason. Were so kind in explaining everything and kind of like educating us a little bit about the cuisine, and the food lived up to the hype regardless. So it was nice to step out of my comfort zone also, and just honestly, I tell the waiters a lot of places I go, if this is good, like, I'll do it. I don't really care what I'm eating as long as you think it's good, and we'll, you know, make it happen. So I was thankful for that. Shouts out to a spot in River North that I got put onto by Katie actually. This place, Guilt Bar, is a vibe. Like, it's beautiful, it looks cool on the inside, things like that. We ate on the outside, but I'm gonna say, forget the ambiance, which was probably the highlight of the place if you're on the outside looking in. The food was something to die for. Yeah, we split a bottle of wine, and that could have influenced some things. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. That food, well, it might have been the best meal I actually had in Chicago, just taste-wise. Like, it slapped. And I'm hoping that I can recreate that experience at some point again in the future, because I need to have that 100%. You know, it's hard to mention Chicago without, again, I talked about one body of water, but the river is such a key part of the city, and it's such an enjoyable experience to walk alongside of. I shared great times with my sister, being able to just go out with my sister for the first time and like party with friends, and that's something that we've never done together in that way, so that was fun. But also just to be able to walk by the river, hang out, crack jokes, be able to be a person. So thankful that my sister even, you know, proposed this idea of this trip, and we were able to enjoy that time. And we did a boat tour as well, which was super nice, because this boat tour gives you the ability to explore Chicago's architecture from a different lens, different perspective per se. Because let's say you're walking on the street and you're seeing things and cool, but this boat tour just takes you through the city, and you're seeing all these crazy buildings from like different angles that almost emphasizes the like work that went into building them, and some of the different architectural structures that you might not perceive from like the street view. With that, it's just like, it was just beautiful, you know? I'm realizing now that Chicago has a lot more to it, even in like the buildings and the stories behind some of them, from the Art Deco buildings to there was this one building that leans left and right, but the only reason it's stabilized is because there's like tons and tons and tons of water inside of it. And there's so many other like unique buildings that just make Chicago what it is. I didn't mention it, and I don't know why I haven't yet, because it's hard for me to go somewhere and not give a shout out to people that I spent time with there. Angelica, our friend, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making the experience special. Trying all of our first Chicago dogs together at a place where the verbal abuse was actually something that you signed up for, and I didn't expect it. So that was weird, but it was funny and it was fun. And I'm thankful that we got to share the sweet treats, the hot dogs, the walks, the laughs, the jokes, all of that together. So if there's anything I missed, I know this is like kind of a brief video, but maybe not even brief. I don't know how long it's been. I wanted to at least go ahead and talk about my takeaways before we get out of here. First off, I definitely am going to continue to visit other US cities now, but even past that, Chicago is genuinely a place that, like, I think I could live here, you know? And not just live there, I think I could live there comfortably and be happy and explore and continue to grow as a person. That's not something that you can easily throw out about the cities you visit. So for that, Chicago, you have a special place in my heart. And to get back to the actual overall time itself, it was really important for me to have this trip, and I'm thankful because life's taught me some lessons during this time. No matter what road you're deciding to walk on, whether you're the most disciplined person or who is very like aspirational and has ambitions and knows how to get where they're going, you can never get anywhere alone. And it's nice to incorporate people into your life, not only maybe to like help you figure out how to get where you're going, but to keep you grounded along the process. And I'm so thankful to have loving people in my life that can keep me who I am and remind me underneath, because sometimes it's easy to lose sight of ourselves, and even outside of ourselves, it's easy to lose sight of just being present. And so I'm so thankful for the people I have in my life. And with that being said, I hope everybody watching this practices a little bit of gratitude as well for whatever moment of life you're in at the moment. It might not be where you want to end up. It might not even be, it might be the best moment of your life. You know, you're looking back and in 50 years, like, wow, that was it. But I just want everybody to practice a little bit of gratitude with me and just say to ourselves that no matter what, we're thankful to be here in this space at this time with the people around us. And if you've enjoyed the video, I've enjoyed making it, and I'm looking forward to continuing my chess journey, but also maybe sharing more content about my life and the things I'm doing outside of chess. And I'm looking forward, regardless, to whatever happens next, and embracing it with open arms and a smile on my face. Thank you all for watching.